Okay, I'm going to do my best to cover two topics in 5 minutes because that is what the analytics say your attention spans are. So the first is going to be ethanol because we had a very boisterous person this week that wanted to beat their chest on their thoughts on ethanol. So I'm going to give you some of mine. And then second is just going to be in regards to personal time and running a business and kind of how those sometimes overlap, etc. But where lines need to be drawn. Okay, so ethanol, what is it? It is an alcohol that is primarily derived from the fermentation of grains, generally in this country corn, although it can be other things like wheat or barley or other stuff. Brazil does a ton of sugar cane, so you know that's their primary use of it there. But it is an alcohol that is then blended into the gasoline. It makes it's an offset to the farmers, helps make the fuel a little bit cheaper. But so what does it do with small engine equipment specifically? Just running it in the equipment doesn't hurt anything. You're not gonna put ethanol in your saw and blow it up. You're not gonna notice that you're running ethanol. But what it does do long term, if you ever want to have an experiment, buy some ethanol, put it in a mason jar, set it on a counter for a few days. Ethanol is what is called hygroscopic, okay? And so what that means is it attracts water. And after a few days, you'll see that fuel separate out. You'll see the alcohol, you'll see the water. You can actually do that with regular fuel too. The additives and the water and stuff in it will separate out. But where it becomes an issue is in long-term use and storage. So over time, long exposure to the alcohol or the ethanol in the fuel will eat away at components in your saw, like the rubber in your diaphragms and your fuel lines and stuff like that. You could take a fuel line out of a saw that has sat with ethanol in it, and a line that is supposed to otherwise be 4 inches long, you can stretch it out to almost 2 feet. It's ridiculous. And it'll leave varnish behind, and it gums up carbs, and it's just nasty stuff. So, and God forbid if it's sat long enough, then you actually, you'll get pockets, like I said, of the alcohol or the water or whatever, and those play hell then when they get into the engine and, it takes a big drink of water or something like that. So, so I try to avoid it at all costs, but if you're really price conscious or that's all you can get, the key to it is to use it quickly. So if you're a tree service that goes through 5 gallons a week, that's fine because the fuel is constantly staying fresh. If you are buying ethanol and storing it in your saw for 3 months, that's when you're going to start to have issues, okay? So that being said, if you're going to run ethanol, just be prepared that over time you're going to have some maintenance costs with things like a carb rebuild or some new fuel lines or stuff like that, etc. But just in terms of day-to-day running, you won't notice any difference, okay? But long-term, it does absolutely have significant effects, and if Proud Larry wants to beat his chest on that he thinks it doesn't, well, then he's going to have to pick a bone with a whole bunch of people in this country that do mechanic work for a living and would say otherwise. So that being said, so the other thing I want to touch on a little bit, just quickly, I guess, is the idea of personal space and then also the idea behind running a business, okay? As this page grows, we're nearing 15,000 followers with millions of views a month. And so I am just being bombarded with questions and just general chit chat, stuff like that. And I can't, in good faith, continue to just try and answer all of that stuff. I absolutely want to help everyone, but I can't. My job, this is a business. I am here to make money. Now, as a person, I'm trying to help you as much as I can, and so I will. But at some point, there's a line, a deviation that is crossed there that I have to say enough is enough. It's not fair to the people that are actually paying for work sitting here that I'm just answering your questions about what do you think about this saw and this saw and which one would win between this race and how do you think my chain sharpening looks, and guys, there's forums for that. There's Facebook groups, all that kind of stuff. If you want to ask me questions about the work being done to your saw in specifically, or you're having trouble locating an answer to something, and so you have a question that you want to pose, fine, I'll do my best to get to you. But I just had a guy today that has been on the page. I'm sure he's going to be in groups now crying his eyes out because I finally told him enough. But this guy Chris has been blowing me up for 3 years on just question after question after question after question after question. And I have told him on multiple occasions, guy, you're taking a lot of my time, and I don't mean to be rude, but you've never spent a single penny with me either. And so at some point, it's not fair to just continue to feed all this time and energy into you. And of course, he went off on what a jerk I am, and that's not the case. I hope any of you with decency and common sense would understand that I am doing my very best to help you guys out and keep you informed and give you a lot of tips and tools to help yourselves. But I can't do everything. I'm the only person that works here, and I have a family and paying customers that deserve my time. And so, with that said, we are now over 6 minutes, so I better cut this off. Anyhow, that's my thoughts on ethanol. If you have any questions, as always, leave them in the comments, and I'll try to answer them at some point. And as with the other stuff, I hope everybody understands where I'm coming from there. I'm doing my best, but I have to make sure that I am taking care of the people that are actually paying me for work. And then, when it comes to be family time, that I'm doing family stuff. So with that, you guys have a good rest of your weekend. Thank you.